Hello, how there? My name is Laulu Akonde and you are on to Inside Sources. But first, here is my take for today, even as we say Eid Mubarak and Bakar de Salah to all our Muslim brothers and sisters. May God accept our prayers for the nation at this time and our prayers for ourselves. The title of today's take is Still on the Callous Killings in Benue and Plateau states. Now, whenever we see evil and refrain from calling it out, we lose something. A part of our humanity is compromised. And while silence may be perceived as protective because we don't want to get involved since we are not directly victims, such a shield is actually deceitful. It kills the kindred soul by vanquishing the injunction that we are supposed to be our brother's keepers. And it also destroys the sense of community, which is our common humanity. Now, the callous and dastardly killings in Benue is not letting up at all, and so we too should not be silent. According to a news report by Vanguard newspapers yesterday, I quote, "No fewer than 160 persons, including 2 soldiers and a popular police officer, have been killed in Benue State in the last 1 month in the most horrendous attacks by armed herdsmen. The attacks, which sparked widespread outrage, aside from claiming lives, also left several communities in ruins." Unquote. The report continued, and I quote again, "Women in Benue State therefore took to the streets a couple of days ago, demanding immediate action from the government to end the carnage, saying the attackers were turning them into widows. This is just as professors of chief extraction have advocated a resort to self-help if the government is incapable of defending the people." Unquote. We must not relent in drawing attention to these killings. Our voices should never be silent. Neither should we grow weary in calling on the governments, federal and state, to protect the people of Benue, Plateau, Borno, and several other states in this country where our people are being killed callously and needlessly. We must also speak out and continue to speak so that the clamor for justice is kept alive. It was Professor Wole Soyinka who said, "Justice is indeed the first condition of humanity." These people whose lives are being cut short and whose properties are being stolen, they are citizens like all of us. They have hopes, expectations, and aspirations like the rest of us. Over the weekend, the Benue State Governor, Reverend Father El-Adha, accused some serving politicians in the National Assembly of sponsoring the attacks in Benue State, and he said that this is unacceptable. He's right. Now, we hope Governor El-Adha, who himself was drawn to politics in the midst of some of these persistent crises in Benue State, will find the courage to not only name and shame the alleged perpetrators, but go all the way and ensure they are prosecuted. Anything short of that will be of no use, Mr. Governor. Also, we urge the military to maintain troops in the state and elsewhere in this country alongside the police until the evil is removed from the land. Good thing, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Oluyede, was reported to have visited Benue a few days ago, and that's a good thing. But we should tell our military to please keep their presence in those troubled communities of Benue to avert further bloodshed. Both the states and federal governments must do everything possible to protect life and property wherever it is being threatened in this country. Already, people are calling for self-help, and rightfully so. Let us avoid an outright state of disorder where it is everyone to himself, or what has been described as a state of nature, which is nasty, brutish, and short. Let us avoid that. Now, when we clamor like we do here on Inside Sources on some of these important issues in our country, we do so because we are aware that moral action is an imperative. And we know that moral voices in themselves may not guarantee an end to evil and wrongful conduct, nor is moral action a strategy all on its own. But we will relinquish something in ourselves if we keep quiet and don't speak out against evil. It's the same reason why we say that the solution to our political crisis in this country will not come from Abuja or from any Nigerian politician, including the ongoing machinations of some politicians looking to grab power just for the sake of it, called coalition, opposition politicians, whatever it is they are called. The solution will come from among us, we the people, if and when a critical mass of us raise voices stridently enough, demanding a reform and constraining our politics and governance to be more attuned to the common good. That is when we can begin to transform the situation. Our silence is not going to work. Our voices will have to be raised. It's a moral imperative, and we should not be silent. And there you have it. Inside Sources. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Inside Sources. Today, in commemoration of the Eid al-Kabir, we are opening the show with a discussion with the National Chief Imam of the Abiya Islamic Society, that is National Chief Imam Fuad Adeyemi. We're going to be talking about the celebration, which is actually something that has to do with sacrifice, and also he will be commenting on the 2 years of the president. I'd like to welcome back to Inside Sources Imam Fuad Adeyemi. Imam, welcome back.
Thank you so much. I'm grateful.
Yeah, so Eid al-Kabir.
Eid al-Kabir, Eid al-Mubarak, yes.
Exactly. Can you quickly just educate us? So I was reading up on the celebration. I think it's the Eid-Adha.
Eid-al-Adha.
And it speaks about
sacrifice.
That is also a celebration of sacrifice. So I wanted us to start this conversation from there.
Well, thank you so much. And I want to appreciate the work which you are doing and making our country to be better. I think we thank you and we appreciate you for this.
Thank you so much. Imam.
The celebration of Eid al-Adha, to us as Muslims, you know, everything about Islam is about direct command from God. Eid al-Adha, it is a celebration of sacrifice, which also it is how do I call it? Ibadah. It is also worship of Allah. So every aspect of the life of a Muslim is about worship. Eid al-Adha is the largest, the greatest, the biggest celebration in Islam. The Prophet ﷺ told us that the Muslim, you have two celebrations. The one is Eid al-Fitr, that is after Ramadan, and the second and the largest one is Eid al-Kabir, which is Eid al-Adha. And what is Eid al-Adha? Where did he get that name? It came from the sacrifice of our great-grandfather, Abraham, and Ibrahim to us, and Abraham to the and if you also know, Abraham is like the father of the three main religions, that is Judaism, Christianity, Islam. I call them the JCI. So the Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Oh, wow. So the three of them came from Sayyidina Ibrahim, alayhi salatu wasalam. This is Abraham.
This is a very educative aspect that I have even benefited from. But I wanted to also ask you that in our relationship among each other, you know, among our neighbors, between ourselves, and then between government and the people, can we say that we observe this level of sacrifice? Okay. Or even comparative, especially between the government. Can we say that our leaders are actually sacrificing as leaders?
Let me also start from that story. When Abraham, Sayyidina Ibrahim, was one of the things he did that God granted his prayer was that he received two visitors, two strange visitors. Those ones just entered his house and they were looking, one guy. Abraham said, now call his wife, please, can we get food for these young people? Yeah. They rallied around, and they got food for them. When they gave them food, they told them, so we are not human beings, we don't eat. Wow. Because of that, those one also helped Ibrahim to tell God to give them a good child. And one of the reasons why Allah answered their prayer is the taking care of those visitors. Yeah. Those, not visitors, that's strangers. Now, I want to pick up from there. You are in a position of authority. When I mean position of authority, in whatever position you find yourself, the moment you get there, you change your phone numbers. People that usually
Reach you.
they cannot really reach you. Even when you don't phone, yes, they know you are busy. They call you 20 times. You cannot even reply, even at the end of 1 month. No matter how busy you are, I don't think it's worth it. People that you have been working together, eating together, sacrificing together, you are there now, you think the level has changed. I always tell people, very soon, the forest will be too small for a lion. So, when we now say we live together as human beings, and we call ourselves men of God or women of God, we go to churches, we go to mosque, and your next person around you is not happy with you or cannot be praying that you are around. For example, one of the rules of Islam, when you are living in a compound, if you are coming with a lot of food or a lot of good items for your children, if you will not allow, you will not give other children, you should not allow them to see it. That is the rule in Islam. When you are bringing it out, if you are not ready to give to other people, they must not see it when you are taking it in.
Interesting.
And when you are cooking soup in your house and the aroma is coming out, in Islam, you are encouraged to add more water so that those who are perceiving it, you should give them from the soup which you are cooking. That is the rule of Islam.
To make it bigger.
To make it bigger so that people around
can share
from it. But unfortunately, like I discussed with some people, devil has taken over most people's hearts. They give you food, you say it's from the devil, and you threw it away. It will not want to give you again.
Yeah.
And people don't know when you give gifts. And what gifts used to do is that it promotes love.
Yeah.
If, let's assume, your messenger in the office just come now, he give you 1 pen and it's 3 naira, and say, oh, guy, I give you this. You'll be looking at this pen as if it is angel.
Yeah.
No matter how small, you will not even like to give it out to anybody.
Yeah, you want to keep it.
You want to keep it that this is something from my boy.
True.
These are the things many of us don't know. I remember I've always been telling the story of a woman in front of my house. She gave us food during Christmas. She's a Christian. And when I came back home, my people gave me, I ate it, we finished it. I said, let me go and fight the woman that gave us. I said, madam, what kind of food are you giving us? The one was afraid because they know as a big imam during Christmas. I said, you know we are plenty in our house. The food you gave us was too small. We need more, ma. She couldn't believe it.
Imam, you have food now.
No, the impression was that I will not eat, the Muslim will not eat the food of the Christian because they are doing Christmas. I say, Quran tells me that the food of the Christian is halal for me and my food is halal for them. If I give him, doesn't eat, that's his own cup of tea, but give me, I will eat, and I will still ask for more.
Wow. Interesting. That's a very powerful one. But because of our time,
the issue of the government and the led now, I pity the people in position of authority. Because the position of authority is taking the seat of God. When you take the seat of God on a particular group of people and you do not do the right thing, the Prophet ﷺ tells us that anybody who is in a position, that position, he did not struggle to make the people he's leading, to make their life better. He's just taking care of himself. He said he will not have the fragrance of paradise. Talk less of entering it. So, the people in position of authority will know that they will claim they are doing this, they are doing that. Nobody can argue with anything which they are doing. For me, I want to see it. Is there anybody or ordinary person that does not have access to government, does not have access to those who are in government, claim to have gotten those things which they claim they are giving, they are doing? This is the question I always ask those who are in position of authority. So let me advise you. The positions you are holding, wallahi, it is temporary. When they want to deceive you, they say it's a permanent secretary. You will show me any secretary that has been permanent before they burn your father.
Exactly.
It is a deceit.
Yeah, there's nothing.
When they say permanent, what is permanent in secretary? If your age did not remove you, the number of service will remove you. Yeah. If those one does not remove you, health will remove you. If health does not remove you, death will remove you. So what is permanent in whatever you think you have gotten? And I'd always tell them, the moment you get to a position, prepare for the day you are going to sit on a visitor's chair in that same position.
Office.
Because for sure, you are going to sit on a visitor's chair. How do you want to be received should determine the way you should handle those offices when you are there.
Thank you so much, Imam. Last question, because of our time. The president has spent 2 years, not just the president or the governors, since May 29, 2023. But since we are in Abuja, let's talk about the president. How do you assess, what we have seen in this country in the last 2 years under the presidency of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
Well, I will talk based on what I've seen. I will not talk based on what I've read or what I've heard people saying. You said, let's start from Abuja. Sincerely, Abuja has transformed. But you can ask under which costs. Notwithstanding, I can authoritatively tell you that Abuja has really, really improved.
In terms of the roads.
So many infrastructures have been there. And there's one thing that I love that is happening, although it affects me personally, but I really love it. People must pay for what they are using. You have people who have gotten houses, they are paid 100 million, 10 million, or something. They have not paid 1 naira to government. So, sincerely, I love that. I'm sorry.
No, but that's right.
Because
it's not free.
It's not free. Yeah. I want something to be organized.
And these are rich people, by the way. Anyway.
By the way, well. So, for that, to me, I will give the government kudos for this. But we look, if you notice, nobody can tell you it's comfortable now. Perhaps government has a good intention with the policies that are put in place. But the palliatives that need to cushion the effects of what the current policy by the government, if at all government has put it in place, it has not been enough. Or if it is enough, it has been cornered by a group of people who are close to government. So I think government should do something. No, people on the streets, we don't want to read anything in the newspaper. We don't want to hear the World Bank something. What we can read is, am I eating well? Am I not eat well? Am I averagely being fed?
Yeah.
My children, can they go to school averagely? I'm not saying private school now. Government school that I can afford. Yeah. Are they giving me what I need?
Can I get
basic health care? Those are the answers. Those are our own marking scheme. It is not World Bank. It is not any English or any organization that will now be telling us where. Yes, no argument. But an average person on the streets, what are we experiencing? Me, I can tell you authoritatively. At times, I run away from the mosque because of the demand of people.
I mean, I heard that you actually had to feed about 3,000 people during this
yes, during this Salah in the mosque. We do not only feed 3,000 people, on Salah day. We also slaughter rams. You can come, if you don't slaughter animal in your house, you can come to the mosque and come and take as much as we could afford at any given time. Even currently, it's still ongoing. Although we have many people that trusted us and supported us, brought this thing, but we make sure that it goes round to as many people as possible. So I can tell you authoritatively that I relate with people. I am not the type that it is what we read in the newspaper or television. That's what we talk about alone. No, I live with it. I experience it. I touch it, and it touched me. So I can tell you authoritatively that people are really suffering, and government need to do something to cushion the effect of this thing, the policy which they are doing. So
specifically, what do you think government should do now? Like you said, there's quite a bit of suffering. And like you said too, we don't have a problem with the policy because we all seem to agree that, well, look, we got to do it. I mean, remove subsidy, for instance. But the impact on the people is too greatly. So what do you think government can do? If you have any idea, Imam. If you see the president, what will you ask him? That, please, Mr. President, do this.
Probably from where I'm coming from, I'm a religious person. And I've seen religion working in my life. Then besides Nigeria, whether we like it or we don't, or we continue to deceive ourselves, the determinant factor in almost everything which we do is religion. Whether you like it or not, we can continue to deceive ourselves. We can continue to pretend. We can continue to assume. I know a day will be a day we'll have a government that will listen to us, that religion plays a prominent role.
Okay, what do you specifically?
Let me give you an example.
Yes.
During COVID-19, government was giving palliative. People were not seeing that palliative until when it was given to CAN, to Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs. It is then an average person on the streets, they could say that we have gotten what government is giving to us.
Point. So the religious groups and organizations, they are close to the people. So they can help the government to reach the people.
Politician, I'm sorry, and even the traditional rulers, but most traditional rulers, they are also doing like the religious people. What I mean is, traditional rulers and religious people, they are the closest because people can ask them questions.
Yes.
They won't go to anywhere. But politicians,
when they have a need, it is to the religious leaders and their traditional that they go to. Although politicians also say that
they go to them. And because they know that what belongs to us is in their hands.
True.
So that is why they go there. Even if I have the opportunity, I will go and meet them because we know our things is in your hand.
Exactly. Our commonwealth
is in your hand. So if government were to evolve a functioning religious organization,
right?
Governments need to put eye on religious. You know, I've been saying it.
Yeah.
Until when we get, we should use what we have to get what we want.
So essentially, you're saying that the government should use religious leaders and organizations to reach the people.
To reach the people.
That's what you're saying.
To reach, let's say you give to the CAN has five blocks.
Blocks, yeah.
You give to CCN, for an example. No church will corner it because everybody knows at least 15 churches will be benefited.
Yeah.
You give it to PFN, at least 15 of them who are members of the PFN will benefit. Nobody can corner it. No matter how anybody is cheating it, it will go down a bit.
Thank you so much, Imam Fuad DME, for coming to Inside Sources. Thank you for the work that you do in the community. Thank you for your role as a religious leader.
Thank you so much.
I was there with you actually during the Ramadan to distribute food to the people. So I'm a witness to your impact in the community.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.
I'm very grateful.
And thank you for coming again to Inside Sources.
Thank you, sir.
All right. And there you have it, another conversation on the El-Adha. Inside Sources, we'll be right back. We'll be talking about what is happening in Benue State. Welcome back to Inside Sources. As part of our coverage of what is happening, particularly in Benue and Plateau states, the callous killings that have persisted in the areas, today we go right to the eye of the storm to Naka town in Gwe West, local government of Benue State, where we have Reverend Chidi Okafor, who is the supervising priest of the Naka Missionary Archdeaconry of the Anglican Diocese of Makurdi, as our guest. Reverend, welcome to Inside Sources.
Thank you, Lalu. Thank you, Channels Television. It's an honor to be here. God bless you.
Thank you for coming. So you sent out an alert on Sunday night last week about what was happening in Naka. Can you tell us what exactly prompted you to send that WhatsApp message, of which I was also in receipt?
Thank you, Lalu. Last Sunday was the 1st of June, 2025. A new month, new joy. Joy was everywhere in the air. We had a wonderful service in the morning. And late in the evening, just exactly at about 10 minutes to 7 p.m., I was in the church, and people were running to the church for shelter and protection. Gunshots were heard everywhere sporadically at the suburb of Nakata, where they call Tio Dam. Tio Dam is the outskirts of Nakata, one aspect of it. There's another place called Mount Lassa, where you have a Catholic renowned school at the outskirts. There's also another location close to the army checkpoint. Gunshots were heard sporadically from these three locations at the same time, at that hour of the day, just some minutes to 7 p.m. And there was panic, there was pandemonium everywhere in the town. And in less than 30 minutes, news of death people that have been shot dead by bullets were heard. These terrorists arrived on Bajaj motorcycles and started shooting at people indiscriminately. So the message I sent on Sunday evening around about 7:30, 8 p.m. was a distress call to the whole nation. As at the time I sent that message, the church compound was already filled with people who came to take refuge in the house of God.
Yeah, I mean, I got that message in that, I got a feeling in the message that you sent. And I'm just going to read a portion of that message for the benefit of our audience, just to show how there it was. You said that, note that the gunshot is an alleged terrorism to the Naka town. These menaces have been on since 2009-2011. And you said that out of the 15 council wards of this local government, 14 have been sacked, remaining just this one which have been under siege since the beginning of this year, 2025. And you concluded, said, the closest option is to run, but as it stands, there is nowhere to run to again. Naka town is the only remaining safe area, but there is very low presence of security here. Reverend, I was going to ask you, how is it being a pastor in a community and for a people that are under this kind of onslaught with callous killings? What is that experience like, Reverend?
I must thank you for this question, Laulu. I must confess to you, it is quite challenging. As a man of God, I try to use the scriptures to bring hope to them, at least for them to know that God is able to save us, all of us, from this. I have had countless phone calls by family, by friends. What am I still doing here? To live. That also contributes to my own personal trauma. So, we can't hold programs. We have to shut schools, we are shut down. Churches has to stay off activities for the meantime. The whole time came to a standstill. That is the type of a situation we have. These are the type of people we are pastoring. So it is quite challenging. I must tell you the truth.
So I mean, I can imagine that if I can at all. So what happened on Sunday when you said that a lot of people came to this church compound? Has that been happening before, or was that the first time that people will run to the church compound in fear, or is this a regular occurrence?
I must tell you the truth. It is a yearly experience. During the time of planting and during the time of harvest. What baffles me most is this. Because I came to Naka town September last year at the time of harvest. I witnessed a little of this. I've been hearing. And then I am here now. This is the planting season. They said, none of you should go to farm. At a point, the authority made a public announcement. Nobody should go to farm for now. For the sake of... Okay, these people stayed off farm. You came to where they are trying to patch their wretched lives, to kill them. So what do we call that? So now, call it shifting. Every year they run. So the church is situated at the center of the town. So those who live at the suburb of the town, at the heat of attack yearly, in the night for safety, they will leave their houses and go and sleep in family, friends, or church where they feel is safer in the middle of the town. In the morning, they carry their mats and go back. So if you come to Naka town right now, it's funny, every evening and every morning. You see people with mats, with bacco sack on their head, moving up and down as if we're in a war situation. Of course, we're in a war situation. It's as bad as that, Laulu.
Yeah, wow. So how do you What's your own assessment of the efforts of both the federal and state governments in this situation? How will you assess it in terms of protecting life and property, and also in terms of bringing some kind of succor to the impoverished and besieged people of Naka?
Okay, I will answer this question as a victim or someone on ground. You know, common sense should tell you, Laulu, what is going on. If this thing started in the year 2011 or 2009, and every year, the success the government makes is to create new IDP camps. On a yearly basis, the success we record is to have more communities being displaced. That is the success that we record on yearly basis. Until to this year, that everybody has been shrinked into the headquarters, nowhere to run to. And the moment we are shrinked into the headquarters, the 4 cardinal roads that leads to Nakata became unsafe. Anytime you want to travel, you have to go on fasting and prayer to go and come safely. Okay, let me bust your bubbles. The road, which is the busiest road from Makurdi Township to Naka, as we speak, from 2011-2009 till date, is in a highly deplorable condition. I wish I could go there to take pictures and send. If government really wants, and it's a federal road, it's a federal government road, so they said. Whether it's a federal or state road, I don't care. But you cannot drive gear 3 on that road. You must be driving gear 1, gear 2. That is how bad the road is. Not up to 30 kilometers road. And for over 15 years, the government could not fix it. All right, let's talk about the security operatives. Like I said in my text, there is security, but it is low. The enemies that have come to attack us are more than the security we have. The governor have tried to raise what they call civil protection guard and all that. But you know, gone past gone, gone.
Wow.
They are under. We have a divisional police headquarters office here. The policemen are just few. They are minute with one hillocks.
Look at that. Look at that.
It's not well coordinated here. In other places, I see vigilante with at least pump action. But what I see here is double barrel against AK-47. And then the hunters are using den gun to go and fight someone with AK-47. Is it not mission?
It is. So that takes us, Reverend, to the issue, essentially in Benue and Plateau states, where this kind of scenario, is quite prevalent. The views have been coming up that government should allow the people to defend themselves, if it's becoming difficult and such a challenge, So what's your perspective? Do you think indeed the time has come for us as a people to begin to ask government that, look, empower the people, create circumstances where the people can defend themselves? What's your take on that, Reverend?
The time is long overdue. Let me tell you.
Wow.
The attack of last Sunday, when these terrorists had their free time to release the mayhem on the people for almost 30 minutes to 1 hour. The only saving grace we had was that one guy around that area who had an arm was someone courage to bring it out and responded. Only that response repelled them to run away. The moment the guy responded, they left the people they were pursuing and faced the guy. So I heard. Wow. Imagine there were 15, 20, or 30 of them. The army of the people is the way forward.
How do you assess the relief efforts that are being provided to the people, both from the state government and the federal government. The kind of relief efforts that are given to people who have been displaced, who can go to farm, people, like you said, that their economic life is actually zero. How do you assess that, Reverend?
My dear, from my assessment, it is poor. Very poor. At the height of these recent killings since this year, from the one I know, recently have upped their game.
That's the state agency for emergency.
State emergency management agency.
Yes.
Yes. About FEMA, I don't know. I will not say what I don't know. But what I know is that due to hunger, in war situation, the enemy may capture you and take you to exile.
Yeah.
But if reverse is the case, the people are sending themselves to exile.
Before the enemies come.
Yes, mass exodus of human beings from West to Edo State, Osun State, Kwara State, Kogi State, where they may found a peaceful arable land to farm. Some of them go there and turn to laborers. These are landowners. These who can give you 500 bags of rice in one farming season.
Wow.
Who can give 5,000 tubers of yam. They have left this place to become fugitives, to become laborers.
In their own country.
Just to eat, just to survive.
So sad, Reverend. So we join you in appealing to the National Emergency Management Agency to up its game in Benue State, and in particular to such communities like Naka. But we also want to urge NGOs and Nigeria's philanthropists, well-meaning Nigerians of goodwill, philanthropic agencies, philanthropic individuals, to help in providing succor to our people who are suffering these callous attacks and killings in parts of the country. Thank you so much, Reverend Okafor, for coming to Inside Sources. Thank you for the service that you are providing, both as a pastor and also an humanitarian leader in Naka and in Benue State. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laulu. Thank you, Channels Television. God bless you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to keep focus on what is happening in Benue and Plateau, and we won't relent until there is indeed a succor and some kind of end to these callous killings. Inside Sources will be right back. Don't you think that the direction of the country that we desire, don't you think it has to come from outside the political realm? Because of what our political elites have represented, especially since 1999. What we have seen, in my view, is that there's been a lot of personal aggrandizement, policies of personal aggrandizement, up to the point that, like you said, the current president articulated it very clearly in Abeokuta and said that, look, this is what I did. I helped Buhari. I installed all these governors, some of them, to say that, look, it's now the turn of Southwest, and in Southwest, it's my turn. Now, that is an indication of the height of personal aggrandizement in Nigeria's politics. Do you think that we should still expect that the politicians left alone will be able to deliver, even with this coalition, the Nigeria of our desire?
There are two schools of thought. The first school of thought, of course, has to talk about a harmonious, consensual democracy that is devoid of the limits set by liberal democratic order, the Western liberal variant. In 1989, Obasanjo wrote a book, former President Obasanjo, Constitution for National Integration and Development, when he proposed a one-party state. He said if he knew earlier in 76, 77, what he knew when he left office, he wouldn't have gone for a multi-party democracy. That African democratic journey, or philosophical journey, or civilizational journey, evolution, is antithetical to this level of contestation for power.
Do you agree?
Well, I'm saying that was he proposed, and we attacked it viciously from a Marxist perspective, led by Dr. Towango, blessed memory, who wrote Before I Die.
Right.
This debate, with the passage of the one-party state.
Right.
What he was trying to formulate was a more or less like a Chinese kind of model, in which there are about 18 political parties in China or more, civic groups, labor unions there, but under the leadership of the Communist Party,
Right.
to build consensual democracy that is cooperative and associational rather than deep competition as we have in Nigeria today, a winner-take-all syndrome.
Right.
So in which people spend huge amount of money and resources, either litigating, campaigning, bribing, quarreling, fraud. When they have council of elders, council of youth, women, people sitting together agreeing, like we do in the village democratic setting. How do we agree to reach a consensus? Look at the winner-take-all syndrome here. You find the current administration led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who secured 36% of the vote, a clear failure. It's an F score. 8 million votes out of 24 million votes, out of 98 million registered voters, out of 230 million Nigerians, he has no mandate. But look at him, on pending established macroeconomic model in the country with enough mandates. Clearly, it is clear. I want anybody to come on studio to say he has a mandate in terms of the population size of the country. But legalistically, he has a mandate because if 30,000 people voted for presidential election, he has a mandate. That's a legal mandate, not a legitimate mandate. So the difference between legality and legitimacy in political governance. Back to the second model.
But he does have the opportunity of getting
I'm saying that we need to get this thing sorted out because if you have, for example, 36% of the vote, and Atiku then had 28% of the vote, and Obi had 26% of the vote, you share power in that model. So the first past the goalpost model is gone, it's being eroded by practice. That means he cannot control 100% of the federal government when he had only 36% of the vote. He share it proportionally.
Except that our constitution...
I'm saying that is some part of amendment of the constitution to reflect that.
Right.
But even if you take that aside, the biggest impediment to this kind of growth, this kind of development you're talking about is when there's no ideological choice. When one party reflects the other, the other reflects the other. That means pick and choose. You are in the same basket.
Yes.
But I was having a conversation with one of my ideological allies of years and decades gone by. Owe Lakenfa, Owe.
Yes, very well. Yeah.
Owe, I said, come and lead this charge. I'm happy he's going to watch this and say, I'm implicating him and me and others on the left to say, lead this charge on SIM, what they call the Second Independence Movement. From 1960 to now, what are the limits of the post-colony? What are the limits of new colonial model of development? What are the limits of this imperialism-induced method in which you find, as you said, exponential growth in personal wealth, when the rest of the society is in complete state of destitution? Multidimensional poverty has taken close to maybe 60, 70, 80% of the population. It's because you need an ideological choice, different from what you have as a model from 1999 to date. So if you have a party of a new type, which AD was to have become, something distinct that you can say, no, I have PDP, I have APC, I have NNPP, I have Labour, they belong to one ideological basket. I have seen Second Independent Movement as a party belongs to a uniquely different ideological mindset. When they have that new brand mainstreamed and they have bitter contestation between these kind of ideological variables, it will stimulate national development and then bring the best out of the people. If not, politics is going to become a means of production, one easy access and vehicle or for another opportunity or avenue for, as I said, aggrandizement and resource agglutination.
Okay. All right. I mean, thank you, Prof. Let's begin to round up because of our time. I wanted to say that you worked with the AD for 2 years.
3 years.
3 years from 1998. That's true. 2001. So you certainly must have some.
And then indirectly and informally, maybe to 2003, 2004.
Exactly. So the point is that you did have relationship with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu then.
Oh, sure, we do have relationship. Sure.
Now, if we were to call you today and say, Prof, we were together in the trenches, we formed the party together. What do you think I can do in this balance of 2 years to put Nigeria in the direction that we both want it to go?
One way to answer a question is to watch what I've been saying for the past 1 year. The record is there in public. Ask Mr. President and his team to go to YouTube and click Udenta and see the enormity of my contribution to national debate in the past 1 year since he took office.
That's not in doubt, Prof.
I'm coming. So that's one way to say, glean my thoughts. I will tell you a strange story. In 1997, Solomon Lau, blessed memory, I think I'm saying it for the first time on television, had some conversation with some people. I don't know what the military assured. We need to sit down with Nadeko and then finalize whatever they wanted to do.
That was 97.
97. And he was a patriot and a Democrat. He believed them.
Yes.
So he came to us. And then we believed him too. Later he was one to say, oh my God, I didn't know these boys were this dastardly and despicable. Because I believed them. He said, sit down with them. So we can now discuss about the modality for how to take down Abacha. At one point, myself told the other leaders in the said, we cannot sit down with the military. Civilians and military do not sit down when they want to do something. If it's going to be a patriotic revolutionary eruption carried by them, after they do that, this is a document we have. They should implement it. It's a pro-people document that's going to lead the country from where we are to a better place. So the point is that I cannot hold brief for the president or his team. If you invite a Nigerian, a patriot, and seek advice, of course you give an advice. He will not say because it's the president you don't like or the party you don't like, you don't want the country to succeed. Of course you do want the country to succeed. But when you find that the regime itself is cast in the mode of what I call new messianic mindset, when you find the transmogrification of individual to that of a god, the presidential system increasingly makes somebody a god of a sort. So if you are now all seeing, all knowing, all conquering, omnipotent, omniscient, then the lesser water like us have even no contribution to make in the way a man want to govern the country. And you can see that for the past 2 years. So governance comes with humility, with a sense of, self-restraint, and a sense of accommodation and inclusion. So when you now make that call, somebody say, oh yeah, you set on the correct path. There could be mistakes here and there. But when there is arrogance in full flight, if you find almost a disdain and contempt for the society and those who populate it, and then their wish is to simply force their way through, as they said in many instances, you can't reject, scorn, and disdain the political class and then lob your policies on the people and it will stick. It will not. Well, because you try to overcome the political class and the political state. That's why you find these convulsions. That's why you find this panic to start doing 2027 in 2025.
But what do you think would be that one thing that you think, it should do? One thing, the most important thing.
I have spent an enormous amount of time specifying in various directions. You can't think of one thing. You can tell a president to do to uplift the interest of the people.
I know.
And bring prosperity. The one thing I can say is not economic, it's not policy. When Obasanjo came in 1999, he won nearly decisively.
Right.
But he didn't govern alone. He didn't say PDP had everything. He said, let's have almost an inclusive government model.
Right.
Let's have a government of national unity of a sort. That's what Soyige, Let Uncle Bola Ige, Badele Jansa into power. So Mohammed Shatta, Mahmoud was the chairman of APP into power. He created office of inter-party. It's the place where you build amity and understanding and cooperation among the political parties to reduce tension and stress in the system. Ultimately, El-Adha created Office of the Civil Society Relations. I said it on many forums. So that's one way to begin. An inclusive model in which everybody has a sense of belonging, even in the contestation of power by the various political parties.
And that aligns with what you had said at the beginning, that, look, the economic base is there, but it's always the political superstructure.
Very important.
All right. Now, two more things and then we wrap up. Chief Emeka Anyaku and members of the Patriots, they held a meeting with the president sometimes towards the end of last year, I think October, November, and they seem to have had some kind of understanding, not much of a mandate, but they said that, look, we think that Nigeria should get a new constitution, and we think that that constitution should be determined by a referendum. Now, they have gone ahead to set up committees to
do a conference or a summit of
and they've even allied with two senators in the National Assembly, one from the north, one from the south, to co-chair the National Political Summit. What's your view on that? Do you think that might help us to sort out the issue of a constitution that we can say it is actually we the people?
I'm a member of the Patriot.
Okay.
Of the Patriots. And what they're doing is amazing. It didn't start today. Remember the time of F.R.A.
F.R.A.
Williams,
Williams, yeah.
and late Ben, Wabese and the rest of the gang.
Right.
So it's been there for decades now, maybe 20 years to thereabout.
Right.
So, and it's an incredible, force for change and progressive thought and ideas in the Nigerian system. And I support it entirely. And theoretically, whatever they're doing, but in praxis, that is theory in practice. It's going to be quite difficult to get to where you think they want to get to. Because the Constitution is very jealous. It's a jealous document. It prescribes the mood of its own change. So you cannot go outside the text, what they call the textualist reading of the Constitution, or the originalist intent of the Constitution to say, this is the only way you can change me. So if your referendum is not captured, then they must find a way to insert it into, to say, we break the referendum to decapitate the Constitution. We must delegitimize the Constitution in order to anyone to emerge. I thought about closure. So you have to topple it. You have to create a sense of space. If you don't have space, some vacuum, you can't put something where there's not vacuum.
Theoretically, that's not impossible, theoretically.
Well, I'm saying that theoretically it's not impossible. I've given you the model, which I will repeat and say the Fujimori model is the most potent, effective model.
Right.
You go ask your readers to go and study the model. It's not me who say it on stage here. That's the model. It's there. So the point is, outside that model, what else can you do? The president is powerless in look at the tax bills. The new tax base now we're not what he said. 70-80% were gone. By virtue of being watered down, that it was just like a survivor for the tax base because it would be humiliating for him. I said it in several stages because everything he wanted in that tax bill, virtually everything was gone. Because the moment he done,
well, I mean, that's not their own narrative.
That is the narrative. I mean, if you check what the Senate and do you know how long it took? They wanted the tax bill done last year. This is May. That's over 8-7 months. But they wanted it in weeks. They find that ultimately, if you look at the VAT regime, if you look at other things, look at even the NASIMA, if you look at what is that, this education task for, trust fund.
Tax fund.
What they want to do with it? And NASIMA and the rest of them, gone. VAT, remodeled it, recalibrated it. To talk about where is the zone of derivation. Is it production? Is it consumption? If you take those fundamental, not the tiny details, the tactical issues there, that's even the tax bill. When they talk of the Constitution now, it's a lot more levels of contestation that is almost impossible to execute. But as I said, I'm part of the Patriots. I wish our group very well. But being a practical person, I can tell you that a lot more work needs to be done.
So how do we get there?
For some, how you get there is first and foremost, as I said, to have a counter-insurgency political movement. If you don't have that counter-insurgency movement,
what kind of movement that would be? I mean, another Nadeko?
No, a party seeking for power, but of a unique type. They just don't have choice.
And
what they have is just one directional
and that's
politics.
why I said to you, Prof, that, and I know you've answered, but, it bears repeating that we need to have a kind of national consensus that goes beyond political parties, that goes beyond partisan politics, that goes beyond our ethnic differences, our religious differences. Our elite have to champion something like that. Some kind of democracy development bargain.
It's difficult to champion that because interests are deeply rooted. And interests are not just ephemeral, normative interests or moral interests, they're material interests. To root those material
conditions, to protect those interests ultimately.
Yeah, to pull away those conditionalities of the interests people are protecting is almost impossible to call. So national consensus can always be reached, but within factions of the ruling political elite. But having that kind of harmonious national consensus that is overarching and transcendent in nature, in which almost everybody now said, hallelujah, we are seeing in one direction, is difficult to manage in a disordered, fragmented political system like ours.
Interesting. Last question, which is just just aligned to what we are talking about, is the constitutional change also. Do you think that it's time for us to actually abandon the presidential system? There is a bill in the National Assembly now that is saying that, look, let's have an homegrown parliamentary system.
That's essentially the thrust of our conversation at the beginning.
Right.
There is nothing anybody can do to rescue the presidential system from the mess it is already in. It's like an umbilical situation. It's tied to its origin. This system suffers from massive congenital abnormalities. That means no matter how you tinker with it and change it and amend it and retextualize or recontextualize it, it will never work. So the presidential system, the worrisome thing is not even from the political establishment, from the intellectual class. We need to hear a lot more intellectual force in terms of decapitating the logic of this presidential system. We need to find our scholars coming on stage, on studios and shows like this and beginning to really speak up.
I think the scholars have lost their voice.
That's one of the most incredible dilemmas of our generation. It's a tragic situation in which you find enormity of intellectual, reserve of strength at the various gowns. That is what they call the gown and the town.
Yeah.
But then increasingly depreciation of those voices because of the material circumstances people find themselves today.
Yeah.
That is shocking. Because if you have an empowered intellectual base and space, you may find people giving damning verdict about the presidential system of government on a much more, effusive, and transient, manner.
Right.
If that is lacking, we just have to keep on wobbling through until possibly a historical accident. History is a composite force of accident and law-governed processes. The law-governed is there, but sometimes an accident will occur. An accident of history may be what to rescue the nation from the current turbulent, fluid state we find ourselves in.
Excellent conversation, Prof. Thank you for your service. Thank you for the intellectual output, and your zeal, to push Nigeria in the right direction. Hopefully, we'll get a break one day.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming to Inside Sources.
It's a pleasure to be with you, man.
Thank you. Right. And there you have it, another edition of Inside Sources. Like we always say, Nigeria will prevail. Nigeria will prevail because we will not relent in pushing the important issues. Thank you for watching. My name is Laulu Akonde, and by the grace of God, I'll see you on the next edition.